Howdy everyone. We have arrived at the third and final phase of Aries, and this final phase is over the next 10 days, is taking place May 5th through the 14th. And this final decan is based off of some ancient Hermetic teachings with Mercury governing this decan. So first I would like to tell you, before we get into it, that Dr. Steiner says that for every step you take in spiritual development, you take 3 in moral development. So today we will contemplate the Buddha's path with the teaching of right discernment or right view. And this is our ability to discern. So this final phase or decan is governed by Mercury. This is the winged messenger. This is the planet of quick thinking and communication. And Mercury is connected to the 10-petaled lotus center, also known as the umbilical center, our solar plexus center. There we go. And here also in this third decan, above the constellation of Aries, we have the constellation of Cassiopeia. And here in the constellation of Cassiopeia, we have her throne. And this symbolizes divine authority and sovereign power. And so this is where the power of right judgment sits. This is where things are seen with clarity. Now, before we move into the planetary transits, I want to share with you the main archetype that is seated here. In Esoteric Tarot, Mercury is the representative of the Pope. And in other circles, he is known as the Hierophant. But I work with the Marseille Tarot, which he is called the Pope, and I feel drawn to it particularly because I feel that the artwork in the Marseille Tarot is just so beautiful. It is very simple and elegant, and I'm rather drawn to this this Renaissance time. So, and also that when you are looking at these cards, it really helps you to go within. So you may want to consider that if you don't have a deck, or you would like to look into getting one. This is a great deck to work with for meditation. Okay, so before we take a look at the Pope, I want to say that every arcanum acts as a mirror. Within all of the archetypes that are present in the tarot, they each carry an aspect of ourselves, right? We have an inner fool, we have an inner magician, we have an inner chariot, and we have an inner pope. And the Pope, in particular, is receiving wisdom from above. So let's take a look at his symbol, okay? I'm going to see if I can hold this up for you, or the best that I can. All right, I think I have it there. So, can you see? He is sitting on a throne. He is wearing a red robe. The robe is trimmed in gold. Now the red represents life force and passion, but here it is spiritualized. It is a passion for Christ and for humanity. It is without ego or appetite. And the gold trim here represents a divine spark. And all of this work is happening within. His sleeves are white for purity, the gloves, and they hint for this non-action in the physical. He holds a golden cross with 3 cross beams. They represent the 3 worlds of physical, mental, and spiritual. Or you could say Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And behind him stand 2 pillars. On one side we have strength on the right, and on the left we have wisdom. And there, right in between, sits right judgment. That's where he sits. His right hand is raised in the sign of a gesture of benediction, and this is a blessing that he is bestowing on those before him. And the card is number 5, and this is, I should mention here that card number 4 represents structure and stability, but number 5, this goes into working into other dimensions, okay? So just to share a little bit about me, I don't follow any particular religion or go to a church. However, I do have a relationship with Christ, and my relationship with Christ is personal. And I do believe that it is a calling of Christian mystics, if you are into mysticism, it is our calling to share the Hermetic teachings of Christ, these ancient teachings, because with the church, a lot of his teachings have been wrapped in dogma, and there is another way that we can look at these teachings. Not all of the things that are in the Bible are meant to be taken literal. There's a lot of deep metaphor and spiritual studies that you can get into. But I do also feel, like all institutions that are shaped by human hands, that the church it carries both beauty and difficult chapters. It has light and shadow. We have good and evil. We have love and fear, and this has existed for thousands of years in across the globe, across the planet. So, anyways, getting back to the Pope as an archetype, in his highest expression is representing inner authority, but it's without ego, it's without social pressure or fear. So this is right judgment from on high. So the I am saying of Christ that is here, if I should briefly mention, we've talked about this in other videos, but each of the 7 chakras has not only a teaching from the Buddha, but a teaching from the Christ, and each of the chakras is, represented some of these teachings. How do I say this here? Like the root chakra is I am the vine, and this was from the wedding when he turned the water into wine. But today we are working with Mercury, that governs the umbilical chakra, the solar plexus, and the Christ saying here is I am the door. This is what we can contemplate. And so also what we know about when you think about the concept of a door, or the meaning behind it, the door acts as kind of a threshold. It is like a point of passage from one place to another that you cross over. It could be from one world to another, right? And so with right judgment and right view, we endeavor to pass from the conditional mind over into a place where that is morally true. We want to strive to work on all of the things that we have going on within us. So these 10 days we're going to focus on right judgment. But in order to, there are 7 steps, just like there are 7 chakras, there are 7 steps in moral development that we have to go through to do the inner work before we can come to that, before we can claim our throne, right? So let's get into the wisdom of the stars over these final 10 days of Aries. And you can be thinking about, this symbolism with the Pope, as well as the constellation of Cassiopeia with her throne, and thinking about right judgment and what we need to do in order to work, to strive to get to this place, okay? So I will start off by saying that on May 5th, we have the Sun conjunct Mercury, and this is taking place in Aries. And so this is where the Sun represents the eternal self. Mercury is representing the winged messenger, right? And this is where our heart and our mind are merged together. And here, this combination in Aries can give us the impulse to rise and shine, find the joy in living, and even to speak about what is true, right? So Mercury can be fast and furious in Aries, so we want to take care here. Our task is to go within and to find stillness. And I like to say it's about attention with intention. We also have Venus in Taurus in a sextile with Mars in Pisces, and this adds warmth to our conversations because Mars loves to talk and Venus likes to listen. And this is what they say about in the cosmos, is that Venus has an ear, but her ear is for Mars only. And she just doesn't pay much attention to what the other planets are saying, but she's very curious about Mars. And she also has a great love for Mother Earth and for humanity. But getting back on track here, that Venus is in a sextile with Saturn. And so in these conversations that we are having with Venus and Mars and also Saturn coming into play now, this is where it can deepen the conversation with dedication in our relationships. Moving on to May 6th, we have a Sun trine Moon. So the Sun will be in Aries, Moon will be in Sagittarius. And a trine represents harmony. This is a harmonious flow that we have. And it's about the eternal, which is the Sun, the I am, the higher self. And it's in a harmonious aspect to the Moon, which is our personal self, okay? This is our higher self and our emotional nature. So the things will be flowing here with ease, of course, right? The Moon in Sag is longing for meaning, but the Aries Sun has the fire to illuminate what is there for you, what that means for you. And all the planets have been direct for a while now, this forward momentum moving through the cosmos. However, on May 7th, we will have a retrograde. Pluto is going to station retrograde in Capricorn. So this is a significant period because basically we're going to have 6 months of the opportunity to do some inner excavation with Pluto. Pluto governs the deep will forces, and if we are unconscious, they can cause destruction. But when they are met with an earnest striving to become more self-aware, we can begin to unlock our intuition through our dedication to do our inner work. And that's what we're here for with Zodia Sophia, is to do the inner work, to find the time to meditate 5 to 15 minutes a day, to contemplate these teachings, to look at these archetypes, and to bring them into our lives and into our awareness so that we can have something that we can cultivate, right? For our spiritual development and for a path, if this suits you, to work with the cosmos to guide us. So, getting back with right judgment, with all of the things that I've just described here, with right judgment and with right views, we want to take a look at our own personal views, your views, my views. We go within and we see. We look at how we view the world or how we might view people. Do we judge them? These are things that we can contemplate because a lot of times we come from a place of pride more than peace. And so with Pluto's retrograde here for 6 months, we have an opportunity to practice humility, to bring in more humbleness when we are working with how we view others. Okay, on May 9th, we have the last quarter moon. It will be in Capricorn. So we're going to have the Sun in Aries and the Moon in Capricorn. And these are both cardinal signs, so that means they're in a square together. And this last quarter here, though, is given to us so that we can be supported in to process and clear things, to have a clean slate before we move into the next phase with the next new moon. So we get to release what no longer serves, and we can create a space for new beginnings. On May 10th, Mars will be at 29 degrees Pisces. So here is a threshold again. The planet Mars has traversed the entire sign and now stands at the last critical degree before shifting into new energies. So Mars has been swimming through the waters of Pisces, and in the highest expression here, our speech is kind and compassionate, right? Because Pisces is all about compassion. And Mars governs our throat chakra. So if you saw my first video, that's where we talked about the Buddha's path with right speech and Mars working here. And now we're going into this tail end of all of this energy and contemplating how how this is going on within us and how are we speaking with others. So at 29 degrees, we have an opportunity here to pause and reflect, right? And we may experience a longing for a necessary conversation. Grief may surface. We can journal about this. We let our tears flow. Maybe we need to have that important conversation with somebody in our lives, or just to talk with somebody with whatever is going on with you, right? That something that needs to be spoken. So we started off the cycle with practicing right speech with Mars in the first decan, and then we moved into the second decan with the Sun, and that Buddhist teaching there was about right endeavor. And now we are in the third and final phase, and this is about right judgment. This is completing the cycle. We start with our words, then we strive to be the best version of ourselves, and then we complete it with right judgment through discernment and creating a sacred space for kindness and clarity. But first we must go through this process of working with each chakra and with each Christ saying and developing, good speech and developing kindness in our hearts, striving to do the best that we possibly can with the sun energy shining upon us. And we're just each day taking 5 to 15 minutes to be at peace, to go within, to contemplate these archetypes within, and see what we can do to improve our lives, right? So getting back to Mars, the shadow of Mars is speech misused, and the genius of Mars is right speech. So here is where we can use words to harm or to heal, and we choose, right? So with this completion of Pisces, let's let our voice be a beacon for others. On May 11th, we have the Sun sextile Jupiter, and the Sun will also be approaching Uranus. So let's break that down a bit. We have the Sun, which is our higher I am self, the eternal self, and it's in a delightful conversation with Jupiter, and Jupiter governs the third eye, and this Jupiter is known as the great philosopher, the great thinker of the universe, actually. So we have the Sun and Jupiter in a harmonious conversation here. And also Jupiter represents expansion, right? And even with the Sun also approaching Uranus, we're not only getting expansion, but we're getting an awakening, because Uranus can trigger that you can receive like sudden insights in a flash. It's new imaginations in our heart center, because the Sun governs the heart chakra. So you can feel it as a sudden inner knowing. We don't know where it came from, but it did come from you, from your higher self. And this is the highest potential of Uranus. New imaginations, awakening, flashes of divine insight. But also take great care, because Uranus, if the energies are unconscious, Uranus's shadow can be absolutely explosive and hasty and disruptive and shaking things up, right? It's like this volcanic energy. We have the potential to go in either direction especially with all of the planets, but especially with the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Okay, on May 12th, Mars goes into Aries, 0 degrees Aries. So here we have the energizer of the cosmos and also the talker of the cosmos. The great conversationalist comes home. So Aries now, this is the beginning of the new cycle, right? With Aries, it's leading all the other archetypes in the zodiac. So everything, when it starts in Aries, it's a new cycle, a new beginning. And with Mars here, this is going to inspire alertness and action and courage, and to speak what needs to be spoken. The shadow of Mars, however, can be argumentative, impulsive, and prideful. So be aware and take care. On May 14th, we have the Sun at 29 degrees Aries, Venus at 29 degrees Taurus. So remember this 29 mark, this is a critical point. there is an opportunity here for creative mastery, because you have the full spectrum of all of the energy that has been built up through the sign. It's all of its potential there. And the sun at the final degree of Aries, then, it carries this fiery concentration of the individual I am self. Venus at the final degree of Taurus has been listening deeply to the heart and soul of Mother Earth, but also to humanity. She inspires poets, musicians, dreamers, keepers of the earth, guardians and caretakers. She is always inspiring others to create beauty and goodness and truth in our lives. Okay, so we have Mars moving into Aries, we have the Sun moving into Taurus, we have Venus moving into Gemini, and Pluto going retrograde. Those are the big happenings these next 10 days, folks. And these are big events for the final phase of Aries. So now I'll just give you a thread to weave it all together, that what we've been discussing thus far. We have the final 10 degrees of the constellation of Aries. We have here in these last 10 degrees also Cassiopeia and her throne. We have our inner Pope. We have the Christ teaching, I am the door. And we have the Buddha's teaching of right judgment, right discernment, right view. Okay? So all of this is pointing to truth, to what is true. Right judgment comes from a mind that has been stilled. We go into stillness, and we want to purify, and we want to align with our higher self, our inner self. That is our inner Christ. All of these teachings are within, and we can tap into them as above, so below. All of these teachings that are going on in the cosmos, they are here for us on earth to bring more of our spiritual life into physicality, right? So that is the throne of Cassiopeia, and that is the door of Christ, and this is the gift of the final phase of Aries. And remember that these transits, they don't happen to you, they happen with you, and it is up to each individual how we take these energies and work with them, because it's always in polarity, and we're always trying to find balance in the polarities, right? So that we can cultivate this. This center is the Christ center, the Christ within. Okay? So it's always this as above, so below, this Hermetic teaching. That's what this is all about. So we just take a little bit nuggets of wisdom here and apply them to our lives, and you can be amazed at what can happen. All right? So when we have a daily spiritual practice and we build something then that protects us, so that when we do go out into the world and have to face all of the things that are going around us, it gives us so much peace and strength, inner strength that we need to face all of these things. And we can cultivate this in our lives. This will ripple outward. This is so healing for all of the people that are around you, the people that you love, or even people that you might not love, but we should, because we want to love our neighbor as we love ourselves, right? So these are the teachings that I feel are so valuable, that we can just take these little nuggets of wisdom and apply them in our daily lives. So I would like to thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm sending you so much love, peace, and God bless. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful 10 days. Bye-bye, everyone.